She told me, "Don't forget, men line up for me." I replied with 3 names that shattered the room. Her friends realized their husbands weren't where they claimed to be. I'd been telling myself for weeks that it was nothing, that the extra hours she spent texting, the way she jumped whenever her phone buzzed, the genuine warmth in her smile just felt off whenever I walked into the room, were all in my head. Stress at work, I reasoned. Maybe she was trying to get ahead with something. Maybe she was lonely. Hell, I convinced myself she was just hiding a surprise, a big project, some new hobby, something good. Turns out, I was wrong. Dead wrong. It started one Friday night. I pulled into the driveway, late. The porch light was glowing softly. I opened the door expecting a "welcome home, babe" kind of greeting. Instead, I caught a quick movement out of the corner of my eye, her phone sliding behind her back like it was about to do something it wasn't supposed to. She turned toward me and forced a smile, one of those smiles that doesn't quite reach the eyes. I said, "Hey." She said nothing at first, just nodded. Her silence felt heavy, like the hum of a buzzing neon sign you can never quite escape. I asked her what she was working on, and she said that her best friend had finally tracked down a recipe she'd been wanting to try and asked if she'd send a pic. I nodded, tried not to squeeze the tension in my chest. She handed me a drink from the fridge, probably bourbon, neat, slipped back into the kitchen shadows. I took a swig. That bourbon tasted like proof. A few nights later, I noticed a text bubble pop up from Mom, but her contact photo? A generic gray silhouette. That ping triggered a weird, sudden chill. Mom's texting back now? I asked. She glanced at me like I was being paranoid, like I was looking for trouble. Yeah. She got the job at the daycare, she said lightly, as if that explained something. I accepted the answer. I didn't say more, but I made a mental note, check that number later. But I never did. I was tired. I wanted to believe. Then came the midweek gym texts. Early morning. She'd already left for the gym at 5 a.m., she said, and before I finished my coffee, she'd already posted, minute by minute, stories on social media, joking about pre-workout jitters, selfies with #gymlife, blurbs about early mornings being mine. I love that about her. I always did. She never liked mornings. I joked she was a vampire with a barista side hustle. But these texts felt different, ringing with excitement instead of the usual bleary-eyed dread that came with the dawn. I chalked it up to her new health kick. Maybe she was trying to lose a little weight, maybe just get fit. I told her I supported it. I even liked the idea. But inside me, something was growing slow and heavy. The voice in my gut that doesn't lie, even when I beg it to. A few days later I volunteered to take our dog out. On my way back, I saw her parked, with the car running, outside a 24-hour diner downtown. Side streets, no neon buzzing, no crowds. Just her car, in a corner. I recognized it because of the bumper sticker, slightly faded. My stomach dropped, but I told myself she was just grabbing a late coffee. Maybe she was meeting a friend for a heart-to-heart. I mean, people do that. Grown-ups need coffee and secrets sometimes. When she walked through the door at home, minutes later, she looked glazed, as if she'd been staring at herself in the headlights, like someone trying to wake up from a dream they weren't sure they'd had. I could smell something on her, something slightly metallic or off. I didn't ask what was going on. I didn't want to know. I just held it inside, curled it up with the dog leash I dropped on the floor. That night, I couldn't sleep. Turned over, stared at the dark ceiling, heard the old house creak. I tried to imagine what could explain all this, nothing made sense. She didn't seem unhappy with me. Sure, work had me gone late nights. Sure, we'd grown distant. But was that all it took? To go from Sunday morning pancakes to secret diner visits at 2 a.m.? It was Saturday, the next weekend. We were supposed to hit the local flea market, grab some fresh produce, maybe lunch. She asked to stay home. Said she was tired. I nodded, but I could feel the weight of her excuse like a heavy coat she didn't want to shake off. She told me to go on without her, grab me something nice. I went. I wandered among the stalls, flipping through old vinyl records, cheap thrift store jewelry, dusty ceramic vases. But my heart wasn't in it. I slammed the whole thing shut in my head. I got back home early. I needed to see if maybe she'd left a note. Some clue. Anything. She wasn't there. Lights off. Car still in drive. I walked around the house, quiet. The dogs in the backyard, asleep. I called her cell. Straight to voicemail. I waited in the living room until sunset, then passed out on the couch entirely too early. I woke up when she walked through the door, her bag heavy, messy, like it had been tossed down instead of placed gently. Her eyes flicked to me, gone soft again with some practiced calm. She mumbled she was gone longer than intended, work stuff. Work stuff. That line hit me like glass on tile. But I nodded. I cooked dinner. We ate in silence. She kept glancing at her phone, like she was waiting for something. I finally asked, "You okay?" She paused mid-bite. Her fork hung above the plate. "Yeah," she said. "Just tired." But her eyes had that flicker, like a signal. A firefly blinking before disappearing. That night, I stayed up. Scrolling through her social media, hoping to spot something. Maybe I would see the diner, the car, a random photo from the gym after hours. Something. I saw workout selfies from the usual gym. Nothing out of the ordinary. But then I saw a story, timestamped at 2:34 a.m. It was just a selfie, her hair down, heavy black eyeliner, soft lips, looking right at the camera. Caption, "Miss me yet?" Then 3 heart eye emojis. I froze. My heart pounded. I didn't remember her going out at 2:34 a.m., especially not looking like that. I checked the time. 2:34 a.m., same hour I drove by that empty street diner. The same hour. My gut clenched. I typed a comment under the story, "You look good." I know, pathetic. A shot in the dark. But I wanted reaction. A sign. Something to tell me I was wrong. I refreshed the story. No reply. No viewers yet. I sat there, staring at the screen like it was a mirror, only what I saw didn't look like me anymore. A week went by with nothing. No flicks in the night. No diner visits. No strange posts. That lull, that silence, felt loaded. Toxic silence that bubbles with guilt. I decided to confront. But not like a scold. I wanted to open a door, see if she walked through. One Thursday night, I came home early again. She was in the shower, I smelled the lavender mint shampoo she likes. I knocked, pushed the door halfway. She looked at me, eyes wide, eyebrows raised. "Hey," I said. "We should talk." She didn't answer. She just stared. I walked inside, leaned against the counter. Steam swirled around her like a veil. I kept my voice soft. "I know something's up. I know you've been hiding something. I'm not going to yell. I want to understand." She froze, like the shower turned into ice. Water hit the floor. She caught her breath. For a second, I thought she might speak. Then she shut the water off. Wrapped a towel tight around her body. Said nothing. Not a word. She walked past me, grabbed a robe from the closet, closed the door. I heard the lock click. I went downstairs. I paced. The house was too quiet. I wanted to call her name, but I was afraid the sound of it would shatter everything. Instead I picked up the damn dog leash again. Walked outside. The night air was cold, sharp against my lungs. I paced the driveway. I pulled out my phone. Stared at the screen until my eyes stung. And there it was. A notification. A message, not from Mom, not BFF, not any of our usual contacts. Just a random number. I didn't answer. But I saw the preview. Last night was fun, face blowing a kiss. I dropped the phone. My hands shook. That message crushed me, sunk through me like a rock through ice. I knew right then, everything I built, everything I loved, had a fracture. A crack so wide I didn't know how to call it fixable. That night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling again. Except I wasn't listening to creaks anymore. I could almost taste the betrayal, bitter, metallic, like old pennies floating in stale water. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't throw things. I just stared at the dark and thought, maybe love isn't enough. Maybe honesty is the thing that keeps the whole thing from crumbling. I turned my head. Her side of the bed was empty. I pressed my hand to the cold pillow. Still damp with her skin. I sniffed it. Wanted to remember what she smelled like, lavender mint. But only dust and sadness filled my lungs. I didn't know what to do next. I didn't even know what to feel. I just knew I couldn't sit down and pretend nothing happened anymore. And I wasn't going to. That was when I decided, I'll find out what this is. Who she's texting. Who she's calling. Who is waking her at 2:34 a.m. and calling it fun. I didn't know how. But I'd get the truth. Even if it shattered me. Even if it burned me. Because I can't build a future, not with eyes closed, not with lies buried under bourbon and breakfasts. I spent the next 2 days like a ghost with a mission. I installed an app on her phone, a tracker, something stupid but effective. I'm no tech genius, but enough to read message logs, timestamps, contact lists. I waited. And she didn't notice. She acted normal. She cooked dinner. She laughed at my jokes. She asked about work. She pressed on like nothing had happened. But inside, I was watching. I was waiting. Saturday hit, and with it, the usual early morning gym story. She jogged out the door, but not before I saw the message pop up, "See you soon." I caught a flash of her eyebrows twitch. Quick, almost subtle. She didn't reach for the phone until she was halfway out the door. I swallowed a lump in my throat. The dog looked at me with tired eyes, like he sensed what was coming. I pretended everything was fine. I didn't ask questions. I walked the dog. I didn't follow her. Not yet. That night, I cracked the phone open. I didn't touch a thing with my fingers, just opened the tracker and scrolled. Contact names she'd never shown me. Odd snippets, tonight. Can't wait. Miss you. My fists clenched. My stomach roiled. Then I found it. A thread that started 2 weeks earlier. At first, just friendly banter. "Work's killing me," she wrote. "Need escape." Then something shifted. Texts got late, messages got flirty, the tone got different. By the end of the week, the messages weren't about work anymore. The texts were about wanting to see her. Wanting to taste her. Wanting her. And she? She was responding. She was reciprocating. She was alive. Vibrant. On fire. Things she hadn't said to me in months. I stared at the screen until the glow burned through my eyes. Each little alert felt like a blow. Each new message another crack in a mirror I didn't even realize was shattering. I felt rage. Right through my bones. But I also felt cold. I felt hollow. Like a shell. I realized I was done pretending I could live in a world where half the truth was better than none. The texts pointed to a coffee shop in the city, one I'd never even heard her mention. It was open late sometimes. The last message, tomorrow, 9 p.m. My usual spot. I double-checked the date. Tomorrow. When she got back from the gym. I gulped air. The night felt heavy. Like everything was tightening. I couldn't sleep. I paced. I popped open a bottle, not bourbon this time. Something cheaper. I drank in gulps. The cold burned down my throat. I glanced at the wall clock. 5:14 a.m. My phone vibrated. Another text. From the same strange number, counting down. Winking face. That was the last straw. I texted back, nothing aggressive. Just a question, who is this? The reply came immediately. 2 seconds later. You can watch. Ring the doorbell at 9:15 p.m. My hand stung as I read. I punched something. Hard. The bottle. Crack. Glass shards splayed across the wood floor. I didn't care. I was beyond pain. I was something else. Something broken. Something determined. Watch me, I mouthed under my breath, like a dare. I swallowed the rest of the drink. I packed a small bag, keys, phone, wallet, the tracker pad. I slipped out before dawn, leaving empty bourbon and broken glass behind. I stalked the roads. My headlights cut through the night. I drove to the city outskirts. Parked 2 blocks away. I hid behind a derelict building. My palms damp, my heart pounding like a war drum. I watched the clock in the car, 8:55 p.m. 5 minutes until the show. I saw the coffee shop window glow, that warm yellow halo you expect from a late-night meeting. People inside laughing. Smoking. Slurping coffees. I saw her. She walked in like she owned the place. Hair down, lips painted dark red, those heels clicking like the countdown. She smiled at a man behind the counter. Not just a smile, but something electric, something I hadn't seen in a long time. She leaned in. Laughed. Light breeze through the doorway. I tasted bile in the back of my throat. Then the man, bigger than me, rougher, he turned. Looked straight at her. Took her hand, kissed it like it was the last thing he'd ever touch. She looked back, eyes soft, lips parted. Thanks for coming, she said. The voice felt familiar and foreign all at once. It was them. Together. In a world I didn't belong to anymore. I snapped a few pictures. My fingers shook so violently the flash went off layered over and over. Coffee shop music, smooth jazz, a sax in the background, faint chatter mixed with the hiss of the espresso machine. It tasted like betrayal. I didn't wait for them to leave. Didn't want a scene. I swallowed the rage so deep it turned bitter and silent. I drove off. My headlights smearing through rain-soaked streets. Back home, I sat on the couch in the dark. The broken glass still on the floor downstairs. I kept the phone in my lap, photos glowing in the dark like little red flags waving in slow motion. I didn't know what to do next. I didn't even know if I wanted answers or just to burn it all down. Morning came. Heavy and dull. She walked in, hair damp from a shower, robe hanging loose. She kissed me on the cheek, asked how sleep was, made coffee. I looked at her without saying a word. My eyes locked with hers. For a second, I saw surprise, then confusion. She asked if I was okay. I nodded. Stood up. Walked to the kitchen sink. Placed my coffee mug down. The porcelain clink sounded louder than the last drop of trust between us. I didn't slam anything. I didn't yell. I didn't demand anything. Instead, I reached for the phone, the photos, the texts, and I sat her down at the kitchen table. I pushed the screen toward her. My hands weren't shaking anymore. My voice was calm. Ice-cold calm. "Explain this." She stared. Her eyes flickered. Her lips parted. She opened her mouth. But the words never came. Because there were no words left. Not when you let the phone speak for you, when digital ghosts spill out every lie you tried to swallow. She exhaled. Long. The kind of exhale someone takes when they realize the entire roof is collapsing, and there's no way to hold it up. She stood. Walked away. No anger. No apology. Just footsteps. Slow, unhurried, like she was walking out of a memory labeled us. I watched her go, silent witness to a person I used to love. I don't know if I'll ever forgive. I don't know if I'll ever trust again. Maybe I'll find it in me someday. But not tonight. Not this week. Not this lifetime, at least not with her. I drained my coffee. Left the mug on the table. Gray dawn slid across the kitchen floor. The house felt empty, hollow. I thought about the bed, the dog, the old jokes, the Saturday pancake mornings. It all felt distant now. Like I was watching someone else's life unfold on a cracked TV screen. I walked outside. Breathed the cold morning air. The sky was overcast. A dull gray, the color of regrets. I didn't know what came next. Divorce. Therapy. A long drive east, maybe. I didn't know. I only knew this: I couldn't lie awake any longer and pretend I was sleeping with the truth. Because the truth didn't sleep. It didn't need to. It simply stayed awake. Waiting for one brave enough to face it. Tonight. I finally did.